Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my new Spider-Man versus Kingpin video. We have Vincent D'Onofrio talking about facing off with Spider-Man, so we'll break it all down and what the plan is for all these characters through all the movies and the Marvel Disney Plus series. We do know a lot about what their plans are for both Kingpin, Daredevil, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
I mean, there's only one really end goal, and I think somebody just said who that would be.
Peter Parker. Not Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
See, you guys have no idea what you're in store for with Born Again. And I know.
There's a lot to unpack during that clip, so I'll explain what it all means. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a bunch of Spider-Man related stuff happening really soon, a bunch of Daredevil, and a bunch of Kingpin stuff happening. A lot of you probably asking, does this mean the Kingpin is going to be one of the villains in Spider-Man 4? Because we just found out that Tom Holland re-signed a new contract for his next trilogy, and it's going to be more of a ground-level trilogy in New York City. Kingpin is probably one of the biggest de facto ground-level villains in the MCU, the way that they're setting him up through Daredevil Born Again. And does this mean Spider-Man will show up in Daredevil Born Again at some point? Because Vincent D'Onofrio was talking about how Daredevil Born Again is going to blow us away, like those episodes are going to be crazy, we have no idea how good they're going to be. And he was saying it while he was talking about facing off with Spider-Man.
You have questions.
Yes. I had a lot of questions. I'm sure you had a lot of questions, but rest assured, we're going to answer them right now.
He is being a little bit of a hype man like most actors are, so here's the plan right now for how all this plays out with those three characters, Kingpin, Daredevil, and Spider-Man. If it wasn't clear during the events of Hawkeye, that series is meant to end around the Christmas holiday, the same Christmas that Spider-Man No Way Home ends during. So at the end of the movie, when he's in his new costume, web-slinging through Rockefeller Center around the Christmas tree, that's meant to be around the same time that Hawkeye was facing off with the Tracksuit Bros, Kingpin's henchmen, at the end of his series. Between those series, we had a pretty good idea for what was going on with Daredevil and Kingpin at that moment in the MCU, even though Spider-Man No Way Home takes place over the course of a couple months. Kingpin wasn't in control of the entire city yet. He had the Tracksuit Bros, but he was still building his power base back. The way Vincent D'Onofrio explained it, he's meant to be the same version of Kingpin from the Daredevil Netflix series, even though they might retune a couple things. Most of what they did during the Daredevil Netflix episodes is meant to continue being canon.
Talk about organized crime in the Marvel Universe, and you talk about the seedy underbelly of New York City, there is one primary character that comes to mind.
He said, I want to bring you into the MCU, and I'm not going to say no to that. Like, that's pretty awesome. I really love playing this character. I liked creating him, from the art of guys like David Mack. Fisk is really driven by emotion. He's like a child and a monster, both at the same time. So it got very intense yesterday, and it got a little bit intense today, too.
So he's already faced off against Daredevil. He's already been to prison at least twice. He confirmed that he did not get snapped, so he was around for the 5-year time jump, and that sort of changed him fundamentally, changed the way he operated, also being in prison after the events of Daredevil Season 3. So at the beginning of Hawkeye, he was still meant to be relatively small time compared to what he will be by the end of Daredevil Born Again. We just saw Daredevil during the She-Hulk episodes again, and it's pretty much business as usual for him, just continuing to protect his city, doing the Daredevil thing. The reason why he represented Spider-Man during Spider-Man No Way Home was one, because it was really cool Easter egg, but also because he helps a lot of superhero characters. The next big step of their arc is meant to happen during the Echo episodes, which are supposed to come sometime later next year. And that's meant to be a direct continuation of the events of Echo versus Kingpin during the Hawkeye series, with Daredevil being a much bigger character during that. There had been talk about having Daredevil inside the Hawkeye episodes, but they were already doing a lot with him in Spider-Man No Way Home, so that's why they just saved having Daredevil and Kingpin in the same series till later on. When he comes back in the Echo series, it'll be a continuation of the comic book arc between the two of those characters. At the end of Hawkeye, she winds up shooting him, but she only wounds him in the eye, so he'll come back being partially blinded because of his injuries, but then eventually heal. It's right out of the comics. The big twist is that he comes back being just like Daredevil, like he can't see, as Daredevil can't see. Oh, the irony. During that series, he's going to continue to build his power base. Matt Murdock Daredevil is going to be looking for Jessica Jones. I think they're supposed to tease her actually coming back during Daredevil Born Again, like we'll hear Easter eggs for her during the Echo series. Both Daredevil and Kingpin will be much bigger characters in the episodes than they were during Hawkeye and Spider-Man No Way Home, or the She-Hulk episodes for that matter. And Vincent D'Onofrio said that the events of Echo directly lead into the beginning of Daredevil Born Again, which is supposed to start episodes at the beginning of 2024. And based on the pace that they're moving, getting all these productions going, it sounds like they're not going to get Spider-Man 4 out till 2025. So it seems like the events of Daredevil Born Again, which will all take place during 2024, will lead directly into Spider-Man 4. During the Daredevil Born Again episodes, they've teased a bunch of the other Marvel Netflix characters coming back. There's supposed to be 18 episodes, so there's a lot of room for cameos and introducing brand new characters from the Daredevil comics. Most notably, Jessica Jones coming back, maybe Punisher, maybe Luke Cage as well too. Like, all the Netflix actors said that they want to come back, it's just a matter of scheduling and timing. There's already been rumors about them introducing other Daredevil characters from the comics during that. There's 18 episodes, so there's going to be a bunch of characters. But as of right now, one of the major arcs that they've teased back a while ago was Mayor Kingpin. Like, the whole idea through the course of the series, Kingpin will eventually run for and become mayor of New York City like he did in the comics, giving him way more authority, making it easier for him to change things around the city to suit his purposes, protect the city, quote unquote, like Daredevil style, protecting my city, but in a very Dark Reign Kingpin kind of way. Because of all the teasers in Black Panther Wakanda Forever and some of the other movies that are coming up, there's this very Dark Reign vibe that's going on with the movies in Marvel Phase 5. Like, the Marvel Secret Invasion episodes are going to be the first big Marvel series of next year, and right after that in the comics came Dark Reign. Because of what happened during Secret Invasion, a lot of the villains come to power and use that against the heroes. They just confirmed that Val is the new Nick Fury type of character with her hands in all kinds of pies, in a bad way though, like a darker kind of Nick Fury orchestrating a lot of shady stuff. She's the current head of the CIA, wields enormous power. They just recast Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross for the events of Captain America 4 in the Thunderbolts movie. Those are going to be coming at the end of Marvel Phase 5, and supposedly during that, he's going to become the President of the United States. And it's supposed to be a bit of a riff on the Norman Osborn Dark Reign arc in the comics. Really shady person, either outright villain or anti-hero, depending on how you look at him, taking a position of great power, and all the other heroes just having to find a way to deal with that. Like, how do you fight the US President if you're Captain America, for instance? If all the villains, like Kingpin, for instance, make themselves seem like heroes to the people, then the heroes, like Daredevil going against them, would seem like villains. They started to do a version of this during Daredevil Season 3 on Netflix, when Kingpin cultivated this image of himself in the public eye as a hero, but was trying to use Bullseye wearing Daredevil's costume to discredit him, make the public think of him as a villain. He didn't come close to being mayor at that time, but that was before the events of Avengers Infinity War, before he's changed his MO. Supposedly, they take that idea one step further during the events of Daredevil Born Again. And because he's such a big force controlling New York City in such a big way, it makes sense that by the time Spider-Man 4 comes around, he would encounter him at some point while he's busy saving people around the city, fighting other Spider-Man-specific villains through Spider-Man 4, 5, and 6 during his new trilogy. I don't know how long they plan to continue the Kingpin arc with him staying in power in New York City, because it'll take them at least like 8 or 9 years to get that next Spider-Man trilogy out. So live-action Spider-Man versus Kingpin in the MCU might happen sooner rather than later. But given Marvel's treatment of the Spider-Man character with all the Marvel Disney Plus series so far, like talking about what's actually happening during Daredevil Born Again, what's happening with Spider-Man the next couple of years, my early theory right now is that Tom Holland's Spider-Man doesn't appear during Daredevil Born Again. Marvel and Sony had just been really weird about what they do with Tom Holland's Spider-Man character. Like, they reference Spider-Man a lot and other stuff, but you don't see Tom Holland himself showing up in a lot of those Disney Plus series. For instance, they had like a completely different actor playing Spider-Man during the What If series. It wasn't Tom Holland doing the voice. Another really good example is the Spider-Man Freshman Year series that's going to be coming in a couple years. During that series, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are going to be playing their characters facing off with a version of Spider-Man, but it will not be played by Tom Holland. They're treating it like a multiverse series, so that version of Spider-Man will be from a different universe. And what they'll probably do in the MCU is just save any kind of actual face-off between Spider-Man and Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin for Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man 5, or some point during his trilogy. So when Vincent D'Onofrio is saying that their ultimate goal is to face off Spider-Man against Kingpin, he's basically talking about way down the line, and also that's just part of what they're setting up. Like, that's not going to be the whole thing that they do during Spider-Man 4. And you shouldn't expect Spider-Man to be like a really big part of Daredevil Born Again. I would be blown away if he does have some kind of cameo scene during that, but I'm not going to hold my breath for that. Sony and Marvel are still getting along, like they'll still continue working together, making movies together, per the Sony president in Kevin Feige. But they can get kind of weird about the other characters too and what happens with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Like, oh, you want to use him in all your Disney Plus series? Well, you got to let us use Spider-Man in all of our Spider-Man spin-off movies too. Pray that I don't alter the deal further. Everybody getting Darth Vader vibes from Sony. But everybody let me know in the comments, when do you want to see Spider-Man actually face off against a version of Kingpin if it's not going to happen for at least a couple years? My next big video will be for the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special post-credit scene. I'll do a full Easter egg and breakdown video. That's supposed to air on Friday. Be sure to watch it as soon as possible. Everyone click here to learn about the secret Deadpool Christmas movie that Ryan Reynolds made, and click here to learn all about the Sentry coming to the MCU in Marvel Thunderbolts movie. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.